Buy or do not buy? That is the question. And I have very definitive answers and examples for you. Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a very dicey time for many of you. CES just wrapped. About 3 weeks ago, you had a good view, or at least a partial view, of what the TV manufacturers are going to release next year. There are some definitive answers from them on what you should buy, what you should wait for, and there's others that are kind of leaving things a little vague. A lot of, I'd say half the manufacturers are leaving things vague, putting you guys in a weird spot. Why it's a weird spot? As 2023 TVs, you're very familiar with them. They are down in price, they are a tremendous value, but you're not sure if you should buy then or wait. Now, my spin on it is this. There are a couple TVs you need to buy right now as inventory is nearly gone. We'll break those down individually. Then there's this other group that is safe to buy. Why they're safe to buy? As I believe the new models are incremental upgrades at best. Nothing crazy that you're gonna miss, no features you're really gonna chase. The next group is a don't buy, meaning the TVs that I'm gonna tell you to not buy from 2023, it's gonna confuse you simply because we recommend them every day and they're last year's most popular models. The reason I'm telling you not to purchase those as next year's models have massive upgrades. Or in the case of something like Sony with their mini LED lineup and prototype, it's very vague. We'll get into those right now. Now, before we start with which TV is which, let's break the viewers down to categories. If you're somebody looking for the best possible value, go buy right now. Don't wait. Continuing to wait for whether it's Super Bowl Sunday or Prime Day, things of that nature. We're running into a trend that we're seeing this year, and we saw it start last year. Inventory is very low. The TVs that you have been researching all year, our videos, our live streams, the one you have your eye on, but you're trying to save a few $100 extra, and I'm not minimizing that savings, but you're gonna cost yourself a TV that is just not gonna be available ever again. The S90C is one which we'll talk about in a moment, or even these larger, cheaper 100-inch TVs, the UAK from Hisense, amazing value. You're waiting for it to go down another $100 and it's gone. The problem with those TVs is they won't be replenished. They are gone, they're done. You're gonna have to wait for the new model, and the new models are gonna release obviously at their launch prices. So for those of you looking for value, or you're looking at last year's flagship at a value, something like the Sony A95L Master Series. You want that flagship. We don't really foresee a successor for that TV till the end of the year. I think that's a safe buy. We'll talk about that again. But if you're looking for last year's flagship, even something like a Z9K from Sony or any of the other flagships, now is the time to buy them, except for a few. Now, as I mentioned, the reason I'm not recommending a few of these flagships is because their next TVs, the successors to those models, have massive upgrades that you're gonna wanna check out or wait for. If that doesn't interest you, if you want flagship from last year just because you want it, and I don't recommend bragging rights, do not buy something that you think in the live stream comments is going to give you some clout. Do never buy for bragging rights, especially last year's model. Buy it because you want it, you've been eyeing it, and it's affordable now. That's the only group that I recommend running out right now, is if you're value or you want the flagship from last year. Now, quickly, features to chase. Now, what's great about this year and what's different than it was a few years ago is we're not chasing groundbreaking features. 2.1 HDMI versus 2.0, variable refresh rate, things like that. eARC, we have all of those in every modern TV. But know yourself, know what features you actually need. If you're a console gamer, do not chase 144 hertz on any of these manufacturers. It hasn't really worked properly on any of them anyway. If you're a PC gamer, perhaps that's something that you want to check out. But for the most part, know the features you must have. As I just mentioned, every modern TV out there has an excellent form of HDR, They have the gaming features. Almost all of them do now at a certain level. So don't chase the features the way you did in the past, meaning you're not really going to make a mistake that way. Don't chase features that you're not going to use. Now, going into our first TV and first recommendation, which is a must buy, and it's a must buy right now, is the Samsung S90C QD OLED. Now, that TV is ridiculously affordable and probably the highest end in terms of picture quality. In my opinion, it basically cannibalized all TVs anywhere near its price point. Being a QD OLED, which is very bright, very vibrant, and very close to the step-up S95C, made that TV extremely popular. Also, if you don't like the One Connect box and the dropouts that S95C suffers from, the S90C became the TV everybody wanted. Gamers, PC gamers, everybody wanted that TV. Why do I recommend it right now? Simply because I don't think the S90D is going to be much of an upgrade. It's going to have the same CPU. It'll be much the same. It won't have the matte finish that the S95D will have, so there's that. However, I can't guarantee it'll be the third generation QD OLED panel from Samsung Display. Cannot guarantee that. I think it'll be much the same as this year's S90C. Except the S90D will launch at a higher price, and it will be in demand because the S95D has this new anti-glare filter that some of you will love, some of you will not. So the S90D may be more expensive than the S90C was. Why go get it now? It's probably the only TV in this conversation you must get now, is that it's virtually gone. Do not save another $100 or $200 if that TV is out of existence forever. The 77-inch, which is arguably the most popular size for that TV, is virtually not in existence. You have to go to a store and hope it is there. You actually can't order it. So the S90C is my first and only must-buy right now. Now, before we move into the next group, which I call the safe group, this is the group that is not going to have huge upgrades next year. I want to jump back to inventory. Inventory is so low on some of these popular models that many of you are eyeing. So again, if you want value, go now. If you're somebody who also wants that flagship, as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter what TV I tell you to stay away from because there will be big upgrades. Value-wise, you want that flagship. That flagship is going to be double the price at launch, and you'll be waiting till this time next year. So that group, go buy even the TVs that I'm recommending you stay away from because they're going to have large advancements. And also, if you're somebody who needs a TV right now, none of this matters, run out and buy. First up in the safe group, I'm going to go with the Samsung entire Neo QLED lineup from last year. For me, they're not going to have a massive jump next year. The processor that is a massive jump will be on the AK lineup only. So any of the TVs from last year, QN95, QN90, QN85, 80, I try to stay in that lineup. Jump into the 70 and below, you're better off going with a Hisense or a TCL or a Sony. But in that upper echelon of the QLED lineup, there's tremendous value, picture quality, and sizes, as well as a large inventory. Other than the QN95C, which was their true flagship, which was really only available at places like Value Electronics, that TV is already scarce, which was again a sign of things to come. But I think the entire Neo QLED line, 4K lineup, excellent for gaming, excellent picture quality, again, a lot of sizes and a lot of inventory, also at Costco and a lot of those Price Club membership type places. There are a lot of them. They're also safe to buy now as the new processor will not be on them. I don't see them changing much. So they're safe to pick up right now. Sticking with Samsung, the S90C is the must-buy. The S95C may be the same way. Now, there's all kinds of talk of dropouts with the One Connect box, primarily in gaming. Otherwise, it's a solid TV. It is an excellent TV, one of the top OLEDs from last year. It is a QD OLED. Love the S95C. It's limited to 77 inches as far as how large you can go. However, next year, the S95D TV will have an anti-reflective coating, which is really more matte. And even though I don't personally love it, I don't think a lot of you are gonna love it. The enthusiasts that watch channels like mine, I think it's gonna be a game changer in terms of what people do want for functionality. So either you'll love it or you'll hate it, but you will not have another choice, meaning there will not be another S95D without it, which would push you down to the S90D. Now, even though the S90D, S90C are close in terms of picture quality, it's still not the flagship. It's still not the highest end or having the highest end picture quality. If you want that, you need the S95C now while it's still available. Inventory on the S95C is also low. It's not gone, but if that's what you want, it's a safe one to go if you don't think you're gonna want the matte finish. Keep in mind though, but by the time the S95D launches, you'll only have the S90D to choose from because the S95C will probably be gone. So it's safe, but also a little urgent. The S95C is a safe bet for right now. Now, the first don't buy, and it's perplexing for many of you because these are TVs that we do recommend, and it is their highest end. From Samsung, the Samsung 900C. Love that TV. I do like the 8K models throughout the years. Excellent design, excellent picture quality. However, the 900D will be a massive jump. It's gonna have the AI upscaling, new processor. It's literally a feature you can turn on and off. It makes a world of difference. You're gonna see that playing while I speak. The typical 8K launches for Samsung are very, very expensive. Then they drop off a cliff. That was at least a few years ago. However, as the inventory has gotten low, they're not dropping quite as fast. The problem is there's going to be a clear jump from one to the other. You may be tempted to go with the 900C because you are chasing some kind of bragging rights. Hard to do that with 8K. A lot of people are laughing at 8K. Again, I think it's fine, and I do enjoy it to some extent, but I do think the 900D is going to be worlds better. Making the 900C a TV, I think you should stay away from. Also the 800C. Now, if they drop way down, and again, if you're value based and you do want a flagship or you do want one of the best Samsung TVs, you could drop to the Neo QLED from last year, 95C, 90C. The 900C, awesome. But I'd recommend holding off and staying away from it, as I think the 900D is where all of Samsung's resources are going. I can only guess that the 800D will be the same. I do not have confirmation on that, but I would recommend staying away from the very expensive 900C and 800C. There are better options even in Samsung's own lineup. If they're dirt cheap, grab them. One quick thing before I move over, and as I'm talking about the TVs to stay away from, it's not a hit on that TV. It's not saying it's not a good TV. If you have that TV, please do not take it personal. This is for those of you buying right now. And in this weird moment of TVs not yet releasing, you may make a mistake. And I don't want you to have buyer's remorse. If you have this TV and you love it, there's no buyer's remorse. You already love it. Let's switch gears into Hisense. Let's not just stay with the big three. Let's go into Hisense. Hisense, for me, had an excellent year last year with the U6, U7, and the U8. Their real top of the line was the kind of prototype UX. We were one of the channels, or I was one of the only channels to actually feature the UX thanks to Value Electronics. Love that TV, amazing TV. But they're primarily focusing on big jumps for them with the UX, 10,000 nits, 4K and an 8K model. That to me is their true flagship. The U7N and the U8N that are showing up now are very impressive. I think they look fantastic, but I don't see massive jumps. At least I wasn't told of massive jumps from the U7K and the U8K. Even the 100-inch U8K was still at CES and Hisense's booth. So to me, the U7K and the U8K are very safe buys right now. I'm not sure of their inventory. I will tell you the U8K is a must buy at 100 inches. It is very cheap. However, it's also very scarce. Quickly about large, cheap TVs. Many of you are really into these. I can only recommend you get one of decent Quality, these are LEDs. Local dimming is still very important. Contrast ratio, very important. A large, cheap TV of not high quality is going to be an eyesore for you, and they're going to be massive. You'll be stuck with them. The UAK at 100 inches is absolutely stunning. Grab that one right now if you can find it. But I do believe the U7K and the UAK are very safe bets for right now. I can't wait to see what the U7N and the U8N and the U6 provide. I actually still have my U7K and UAK, so you'll see those side by side. But I do recommend, as a safe bet, the U7K, UAK, U6K, and definitely the 100-inch UAK. TCL is up next, and it's actually a little bit different. Both booths, Hisense and TCL, both looked amazing for different reasons. Quickly, with Hisense, their main focus will be on the UX. That's going to see the massive changes. Conversely, with TCL, the QM8, which was one of last year's most popular TVs, both in terms of value and performance, is also having a big upgrade. However, the QM8 was so impressive, it is still a very safe bet. Also going from 65 inches to much larger sizes, it's available, and again, a tremendous value. The new ones are going to have a larger zone count. They will have some more gaming features. They will also have a higher peak brightness, but the QM8 is still bright enough and vibrant enough and a great value that it's safe to buy now. The excellent Q7 from last year was not mini LED, but also was fantastic. If you're a value-based person and you want that TV for very cheap, go grab that one. But I want you to pause on it simply because the new QM7, I think it's called now. That TV is basically last year's QM8. It is a mini LED. It has more sizes available. It's much brighter. Again, mini LED, better local dimming. So basically you're getting QM8 picture quality at the Q7 or QM7 lineup. So that one is one I would wait on. Unless it's a true value you're looking for, I grab the QM8. But wait on the Q7. The new Q7 is basically the new QM8. TCL's lineup is awesome, but the QM8, grab it. Q7 if you want to really save, but look for the QM7 to be the new QM8. So take the QM8, wait for the Q7 from next year. Mini LED, more zones, basically QM8 picture quality at a tremendous value. Let's spin back to LG. LG had a great year last year with the LG G3, still the brightest OLED ever made, at least until you see the G4. Now that's kind of the problem. LG had a very limited lineup last year, the QNED lineup, which is coming back this year. So right off the bat, I would say anything LCD or LED based from last year's LG lineup, I would not purchase. I would wait for their new QNED lineup. I think it's going to be very impressive. I cannot wait to cover it. They will also have an 8K model. The LED we saw at the show, which I'll show you and while I'm speaking, was also very impressive. So I would wait on anything LED based from LG. Wait till these releases come out. Don't buy anything from the last number of years. A lot of that was carryover. Now with the OLEDs, as I mentioned, the G3 was the flagship and was phenomenal. However, it did have some holes in the lineup. The 83-inch version did not have the micro lens array technology. It's also called something else now, but it lacked that. So that was hard to recommend last year. Hard to recommend the largest size that didn't have the same picture quality as the smaller sizes. But the G3 is a TV recommend every day. We still recommend it. Why I want you to pause. If you're looking for value and you want the flagship LG, go out and grab it while it's still available. Why I want you to pause is the G4 is going to be a massive jump. Not just brighter and more vibrant, it has a whole new processor that's going to be affecting everything. Low bitrate content, upscaling, it's going to be a huge jump. LG is already excellent in processing, which is why we still recommend it. But with the G3, that's the TV where you're going to buy that now. The G4 is going to come out, be amazing. It'll be maybe 3,000 nits, have a new processor, and you're going to sit here and say, oh man, I wish I waited for the G4. So the G3 is a do not buy right now. If you have the G3, again, it's awesome, amazing gaming, but the G4 is also going to have 144 hertz, still has G-Sync, but it's going to be an absolute winner. It's my early prediction for TV of the year, at least OLED of the year. Now, going into the C series, the C4 will not have the new processor, and for me, it's just an incremental upgrade over last year's C3, which was an incremental upgrade over last year's C2. That said, the C3, if you really want LG and you want a WRGB OLED, the C3 is an excellent choice right now. What hurt the C3 last year was the QD OLED S90C was there wandering around at a low price point and really hurt LG last year. However, if you love LG, you love their operating system, you love everything about them, the C3 is the safe bet. The G3 is the stay away from, because I think the G4 is going to be absolutely amazing. Now, they're also going to have their M series, which is out of the price point for many of you, including myself. So the G series, the G4 is the wait, the G3 is the stay away from flagship. It's only the second one in this list. Last but not least, we have the true enigma of the group, which is Sony. I attended a black box event at CES, did a video with Sony's Rob Brennan. Check it out, where we had a chance to see their mini LED prototype, which I think is going to be industry changing. They also have done a reference Hollywood monitor, which the mini LED technology will be in tandem with. It will change the industry. It is going to be 4,000 nits, and the local dimming is off the charts. It is the true successor to the Z9D. When is it coming? We have no idea. I have a feeling it may be next year, or I should say this year in 2024. Again, I have no information on it. Watch that video with Rob, which is over an hour long, and see if you can get some information from it. But I have only hunches and guesses from my side. Here are the safe bets from Sony. Last year's Sony A80L, which is right behind me at 83 inches, is perhaps the safest bet in the entire lineup. It's WRGB. It has XR Clear. It also has a step-down version, the A75L, which is also cheaper with a simpler design. Why do I say it's your safest bet? Well, primarily it has XR Clear processing. Every TV from last year, from the X90L up to the flagship A95L QD OLED, had XR Clear. It was a must-have feature that separated it from the A80K and the entire K lineup from the year before. Other than the X93L, which was a carryover X95, slightly better, but it didn't have XR Clear. Why do I say it's recommended? Well, I also don't think the A80M will have any features other than the new interface that the A95L had, which means it'll look slightly different. The settings will be different. I find the picture quality will probably be very similar. The A80L, the A80J, the A80K were all similar, slightly upgraded. The A80L was the big jump because of XR Clear, which companies like LG and Samsung didn't have. It set this TV apart. But I expect the A80M to be very similar. So the A80L, tremendous value. A75L, if you can find it, that's a buy now in terms of it being safe. As far as the A75L, it is in limited supply. The A80L, I do believe, is plentiful, but it is a safe purchase in Sony's lineup. Up next is the Sony X90L, one of the most popular TVs in their lineup last year. Highly recommended. It starts off a little expensive. It is their entry into their high-end first TV to have XR Clear in their lineup. It is full array local dimming. Comes out a little high in price and then drops and is now very affordable, especially at the 85-inch size. There is a almost nearly 100-inch size as well. If you want that larger size, keep an eye on that as well. The problem I have with it is I don't know what the mini LED technology we're seeing from Sony, which TV that's going to be in. I am not positive that it's going to be in an 8K TV or a flagship 4K TV. I can't tell you for certain, but the X90L is probably the safest buy in the group because it's excellent and it's going to have a higher value for you. The X90M may be mini LED. I'm not sure they're going to stay with full array local dimming. That's the only reason why I give it pause. They may move to mini LED. I have no idea how they're going to consolidate their lineup. Last year's flagship X95 in the US was only at 85 inches. So their consolidations of their lineup, I have no idea. I won't know until probably March what it's going to be. But the X90L is probably the safest LED in Sony's lineup. The Sony X93L was an interesting TV from last year. I thought it was awesome. In some cases, even beat the X95, and definitely for me, beat the X90L. It is a carryover X95 rebadged in certain ways. Doesn't have XR clear, but Sony's always had excellent upscaling, and it is a good value right now, especially at the largest sizes. It is recommended if you want a top-end Sony. I have no idea if there will be an X93 next year. I'm fairly certain all the TVs next year will have XR clear, which puts the X93 in a weird spot. But if you want a very high quality Sony mini LED, then that's the one to go for from last year as inventory gets less and less. No, you won't have XR clear, but you'll still have a very high-end Sony product. It's recommended for that reason, but I would also hold off. I should say you shouldn't hold off because I'm not sure there'll be an X93 next year, as again, they may all have XR clear. But the X93, if you see it drop down in price, it's a safe-ish bet. The last safe buy in Sony's lineup is the Sony A95L Master Series QD OLED. And it sounds weird to say it's a safe buy. It came out very late in the year. It is their true flagship. It is the best TV, in my opinion, in the world right now until these other TVs release. I have no indication that there will be another Master Series from Sony this year in regards to the A95L. I have no idea if that's going to release. And even if it does release, it's not going to be until next October if they have anything like that. I don't see Sony releasing a successor to a TV, which I feel was basically a 2024 anyway. It has the new interface. They're still fine-tuning it. I think that TV is a safe buy. It's very expensive. Don't expect it to drop simply because it released late in the year. But I do feel it's still one of the best TVs in the world, and it's highly recommended if you want Sony's true flagship. I can't promise there won't be a successor. I can at least half promise you won't see it soon. It would be later in the year, but it's still an excellent TV. And keep in mind, you are paying for better sound, better build quality, and a better anti-reflective screen than some of the cheaper QD OLEDs. So it's a safe buy. It's just not a value buy. It is less than it was, but it's definitely a value buy and a safe buy. Now, my very last don't buy, and this one is a heartbreaker for me, and they've all been heartbreakers. You know, there's really only been a few. The 900C from Samsung, which I really enjoyed. The G3, which I love. This last one is a heartbreaker. The Sony X95, which is really only available in the States at 85 inches, is probably the best mini LED that Sony has ever produced. It was very refined. It had excellent local dimming. It wasn't the brightest of their previous Z9G, Z9K, AK lineup, which was nearly 4,000 nits. It wasn't that, but it was more refined. It had XR clear, probably the perfect mini LED. Very natural, very accurate. Why is it a hold off and don't buy right now? Well, it's still pretty expensive. Again, only one size available in the US. I can't vouch for the other sizes. I have not seen them in person. However, the prototype that I feel is probably an X95 successor will have a double the zone count. Much better local dimming, which is incredible considering how good the X95 was. In their prototype, the X95 was present, which leads me to believe that the prototype is probably an X95M, maybe next year. The problem is I really have a hard time recommending a high-end X95L if this prototype is this year. You're going to have XR clear, superior local dimming, and even though Sony doesn't brag about their dimming zones, they went out of their way to say there'd be many, many more and much better local dimming. And 4,000 nits with the reference monitors that they have, where the Hollywood directors and creators will be creating 4,000 nit content. It will be put to use right away. So that said, one of my favorite and most recommended TVs from last year, the X95L, unless you're looking for value and it comes down in price, it is amazing with XR Clear. But this prototype, I can't guarantee you will see it or you won't see it. It's just a hard gamble to make a purchase like that and then say, oh, by the way, here's this world-changing TV. And I do feel that TV is going to change everything for the entire industry this year. All right, guys, that is my list. I want to thank you so much for hanging out in this very long video of the must buys, the safe buys, and the don't buy. Remember, all the TVs on these lists, especially the ones that I said not to buy, are still amazing. And if you love them, you love them. And thank you for joining me with the mix of 2023 TVs and the exciting 2024 models. 2023 was an amazing year. If you're watching this video and the premiere and you're here at the end, I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for me and for our community. 2024 is already an amazing year, not just for us, but for all the technology that's on the way. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Please consider liking and subscribing. I will talk to you soon. I will see you in the comments. Love you guys. Take care.